I am so excited to have my next guest. Can't wait. Come on out, Nico.
Hey, girl.
Oh my god. Who knew she'd be having this conversation? Oh my god,
Hi.
thank you.
Yes.
All right, you ready?
I'm so ready.
Let's talk about some relationships.
Let's get
trauma.
dramatic.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
God.
Let's go. Okay, we're gonna cut this from here.
I'm sitting waiting and I'm wishing on a star.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to One More Thing with Ash. I am so excited for you guys to join us for this very special episode with one of my good friends, Nico. Welcome.
Hey.
All right. And if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a safe space for you to be and heal while having one honest conversation at a time. But if you're joining us back, welcome back. Season 2 has been really fun so far. We broke down trauma in its simplest of forms in the first episode, and then talked about trauma basically if it's good, it's bad, or different with my good friend Lord Isaac. But this time, I got one of my good friends, Nico, here. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey.
Excited to dig in.
Let's do it. So Nico is a mixed Mexican non-binary born artist raised in a small town in Texas whose work explores identity, embodiment, liberation through authenticity and nightlife. They work as a go-go and pole dancer, bringing a bold, sensual presence to the underground scene while also producing community-driven music events that center queer expression and connection. So I want to welcome Nico to One More Thing.
Hey.
So Nico and I have been friends for a long time. And we've talked about relationships back and forth. So I figured, why not have Nico on this episode? So if you guys were able to watch episode 5 of season 1, Cruz and I broke down relationships and just the love part of it. But this time, obviously, we're going to talk about the traumatic part of it. I'm sure both of us can
Absolutely.
talk
Yes.
about how traumatic relationships have been.
Absolutely. A big yes.
Personal, romantic,
All of the above.
the toxicity, dating, all those kinds of things.
Yes.
So I cannot wait to dig into this episode. But anyways, welcome to One More Thing. And do you think there's relationship trauma?
Yeah. You know, I really feel like trauma in most cases comes from relationships.
Mhm.
Comes from your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your family, your relationship with romantic partners, your relationship with society, your relationship with the rest of the world, physically and in general.
Mhm.
I think it's really all rooted in there, and just how you interact with the world and how that world affects you.
Mhm.
I feel like that's most definitely where trauma is rooted. Absolutely.
Yeah. There is relationship trauma. Trust me.
It's a big yes.
It's a
Short
big
answer is
one.
yes.
It's short answer is yes, and it comes. I mean, it's kind of we'll talk. Well, you'll see in the next episode we're talking about generational trauma, but
Oh.
it kind of just stems. Also, I mean, I have relationship trauma. I talked about in the last episode how I got out of a 4.5 year relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and whew,
Yeah.
physically, mentally, spiritually abusive. I forgot who I was in that relationship.
Ooh.
We clocked out after 2.5 years.
Been there.
and
Definitely
then
done
and then you're just like
Hmm.
who am I?
Yeah.
And then it took me such a long time to get where I was. I mean we've seen each other for God,
It's like 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been crazy to think about. Like, it's flown.
Yeah, it
Like,
has.
It's
We've seen each other through a lot. I think we're completely two different people,
Mhm.
and the fact that we reconnected because of nightlife
Mhm.
means a lot. And that we're like, it was just he just DM'd me, was like, I'm looking to dance at the club you're pointing at. I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, I decided I was gonna try and get back into shaking it on the box a little bit again, and of course Ash was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's do it."
Let's do it. Yeah.
And we've been back at it.
And we've been back at it, and you produced your own parties now.
Mhm.
I produced my own parties. I am
Yeah.
exploring into different other parties that are coming up.
Mhm.
I think by the time this episode airs, we will be 2 weeks away from my pool party.
Ooh, which I will also be dancing at.
Yeah, well,
So
hello.
come see us.
Exactly. But I think we were talking about is there relationship trauma?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where does it stem from? Past relationships, how you interact with people. I think I saw a lot of how my parents interacted
Mm-hmm.
and took that to my relationship,
Learned habits, patterns. Yeah,
e-
yeah.
etc. Like I definitely saw was like, why am I approaching this like my father?
Ooh. When you start to notice those things, it's kind of crazy because you're like, am I becoming my mother? Am I my mother? Dang.
And you're trying so hard to be yourself
Uh huh.
and be like, I'm Ash. But
Yeah.
no, I'm like, whoops, I'm my mother.
And even then, I think some of that for us being, queer people,
Hmm.
we have to unpack who we were as a shield in our relationship to society and that trauma of having to pack ourselves away to be generally accepted by society. So that even is a layer of trauma that like you kind of have incorporated within relationships too, where it's like these like forced behaviors that aren't really who you are, and in that relationship with yourself has its own little piece of trauma in it. So those are also pieces that I feel like really show when it comes to like relationship trauma.
You kind of just like stuff who you are.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I've noticed this about you, and I hope you
Mhm.
notice this about me. Like I'm unapologetically myself.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not holding anything back from
Same.
anybody.
I
This is
am
who I
so
am.
that yeah. I'm it's like I see what get what you see, like you see what you get
Hmm.
or get what you see. How does that go?
You said it
What's
right
the
the first.
word?
You said it right the first
I
time.
should just trust myself.
Yeah, trust
Right,
your.
right,
Go
right,
ahead.
right. But yeah, I mean, and that took a while to get there, and that's kind of why I mentioned those like things that you have to unpack of what you're putting on for the rest of society and your relationship to society and who you really are.
Hmm.
And it took me a second to really, center in being just be myself. I'm a Cancer, so I tend to be very hard on my sleeve type person.
Okay.
And I had to, I had people around me that told me that showing my emotions was not good, and
Oh,
I was too
been
emotional or
there.
too this or
Been
too
there.
that,
Been there.
and so I had to create this like container and put them in there, and I realized it's okay to feel,
Hmm.
it's okay to cry, it's
Hmm.
okay to be a certain kind of way,
Hmm.
and I don't have to hide that.
Good.
I can be that
Good.
person, and that person will draw other people to me that love me and care
That's
about
it.
me as an authentic person. So
I don't chase, I attract.
exactly, we don't chase, we attract.
I didn't know
Yes.
you were a Cancer. I knew
Yeah.
your birthday, but I didn't like bring it down. I was like, oh wait, that makes a lot of sense why my moon's a Cancer. And I was like, yep. When I'm
Yeah.
invested in one emotion, shoot, watch out. But
Yeah.
emotional intelligence.
It is emotional intelligence for sure, for sure, for sure. I think that's one of like, as a Cancer, and I think in general, most Cancers probably can relate to this. Is it's our greatest power and it's our greatest fault at the same
Okay.
time. When I was younger, dealing with trauma,
Mm-hmm.
emotions were a big piece of it, and I lacked control of emotion
Okay.
centered around trauma. So it's a piece that goes in there, and that's what I'm talking about when it's your relationship with yourself.
Oh.
Those are my emotions, and that's my relationship with myself, but it comes out through trauma.
So I mean, I probably have stuffed my feelings for
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Granted, we love to stuff things.
However,
Emotions might not be the best ones to do.
like I think like from where I was 5 years ago and to where I am now, I used to just close my mouth, not care what other people, or I
Mm-hmm.
cared too much what other people
Mm-hmm.
thought and did what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we won't name names in this podcast.
That's
No,
not.
it's not. But for once, I'm finally doing everything on my own terms.
Yeah.
And doing this. I've been talking about this podcast, I think, for about a year. And just wanting to wanting to do it, just to know how or how to do it
Yeah.
or when it was
Yeah.
going to happen. And then life happened, and I felt like it was not so much of a setback, but it was also a push to do it. And I told
Mm-hmm.
myself when I turned 30 that I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it and changed it and broke through that trauma, because
Yeah.
I feel like trauma sometimes feels like like my mom used to always say, like, it's an elephant on your chest.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, how do I break through that?
Yeah. I
And
mean, it's totally paralyzing sometimes. It fully creates a limited thought process or limited behavior in yourself because you're like, oh, I can't do that or I'm not capable. And it's you should be proud of yourself for getting past that point to here we are.
yeah, I tend to use the what Mel Robbins calls the 5 4 3 2 1 trick.
Ooh, tell me that. I don't know that
The
one.
5 4 3 2 1 trick. Hi, Mel. Huge fan. Huge fan. Huge fan. So when you're feeling like you're having all this trauma or
Uh-huh.
this weight on you,
Okay.
or like there's just days you just don't want to get out of bed,
Mm.
you're really so much in control of that, of whether you stay in that bed or you get up and make the
Mm.
small annoying step that you don't want to do, whether it's
Right.
getting up and making yourself breakfast or getting
Uh-huh.
yourself up and doing X, Y, and Z or doing the laundry, etc. So instead of what 5 4 3 2 1 it does is it stops all the thoughts in your head,
Got it.
and it's like, okay, then you realize it's not that serious. Stop
Mm-hmm.
beating yourself so hard about it. So they're like, for
Yeah.
example, like I had to use the 5 4 3 2 1 trick today. I did not want to get out of bed today,
Yeah.
so I literally just closed my eyes and I was like, you know, Ash, you are the only person that's stopping yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's mainly just because of things that are happening in my life that are bringing up past things, and I'm just like, you know what, like. Realize how powerful you are as a person, and the power of trauma can really push down what you're doing. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, 5 4 3 2 1. I got up. I was like, okay, that wasn't that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go make breakfast.
Yeah.
And that helps me realize, like, okay, what is affecting my emotions.
Yeah.
So I don't check my phone in the morning at all.
Oh, I have to do that. I have got to be better about that. I really do. I really do. I turn off my alarm and immediately I'm like notifications, and like that's probably not the healthiest way to start the day, but at least it gets me like brain mentally active is my thought process.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little toxic in itself, but
It's so well, I think like because for me, like the relationship, we're talking about relationships. You
Yeah.
have a relationship with your phone,
Period.
and
Actually, yeah.
I'm a big fan of the do not disturb function.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also a big fan. I'm trying to get back in the habit of, and I've been doing it for the last few days. Is I keep my phone down. I turn off the alarm, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, all right, up, make breakfast. I don't look at my phone until
Yeah.
breakfast is made. It's put on the table. Then I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let's see what's going on with the world here.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes I open my phone, I get that text from somebody I'm not wanting to look at or watch or read their text message, and I'm like, all right, this is gonna set the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And that's honestly really so much that has happened helped me. Um, well, we've been talking about relationships with your phone, relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of want to delve into the kinds of relationship trauma. So there's just like, and where it stems, we were talking about earlier, it stems from like abuse, past actions or behaviors you've experienced with personal and romantic.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the most traumatic thing that it's really dictated my dating life, and I'm trying not to do it as much, is that relationship I had for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been out of that relationship for almost 6 years. Um, and it's still kind of like it took me a while to be like, if I'm dating X, Y, and Z, I can't bring. I'm like, that's he's not him,
Yeah.
and I can't do that to him.
Yeah.
And like I am scared because I've been hit, I've been spit on, like I've had things thrown at me. I've had TVs be broken right in front of me.
Oh,
Um,
Lord.
and it's just like and finally, like at one point, like I got it. You can ask my closest friend Tracy, and she goes, it took you a whole it took me a whole year to break off that relationship.
Oh, so like you had to, it essentially decided that you don't need to be in it or you don't want to be in it, and it took you a year to make that step.
And I also was like traumatized, like, am I gonna be loved again? Am I
Right.
capable
Okay.
of love? Because this person really ingrained in my mind that I would not find a partner outside of this if we were to break up, and then this was the end all be all. And so I got that in my head, like, oh shoot, I can't get out of this relationship, and this is the only like yeah. And also, just because you've been with them for that long does not mean that it's a happily ever after.
No.
You know?
No. Oh no, I know. I just got out of a 10-year relationship in October. So yeah, I mean, as much as you want it to be a happy ever after, like sometimes you just have to accept that it's not gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And touch on what you were saying, that thought of like, oh, if I'm not in this relationship or I'm not in a relationship, then I'm not lovable and I'm not someone that someone else could want.
Right.
Is a to me that's a internal relationship with yourself trauma.
Mm.
You have an abandonment issue where you don't see yourself as valuable, or you don't think that you're going to be a lovable person. And I think that's a really, really crucial part of trauma, is recognizing whether it comes from inside the house. Is the call coming from inside the house?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is this coming from? Is
Yeah.
it because of, this relationship I had with someone else, or this something that happened to me?
Mhm.
Or is this something that I have created as a relationship within my own conversations with
Yeah.
myself? It's so hard to pick those pieces apart, but once you can kind of lay those out and sort through those things, I
Mhm.
think that's when you really do see true progress in your healing journey.
Right.
And it's different for everyone. No healing journey is linear. Like, and there are times where it goes backwards, you go forwards, you go left. But it's as long as there's movement. People are so focused on forward movement. Oh, I've thought about that. I've dealt with it. I've recognized that that's what it is. So now I'm past it, and like, it's never gonna happen again. And then it happens again, and you're like, oh wow, so I'm not as good. And then you go right back into that relationship, that internal relationship of telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, and then you create this trauma where it's like, oh, I can't deal with that trauma because I'm not capable, and it brings me back to the past trauma of myself.
Right.
So like, there's so many layers to it that relationships are the core root of all of it.
Yeah. And also, I think you're over that past trauma.
Mm-hmm.
A good gut check is to ask the friends around you if you actually have gotten through it. And I can tell you a lot of my friends have probably been like, Ash, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? You haven't learned yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe will show you 500 things until you learn what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like I was dating. Ooh, we're going to get back to episode 5. Pisces men.
Oh,
I.
I loved that episode. I was like, yes, read them all. You named my ex being a Gemini man. I'm like, oh, yep.
It wasn't direct. It was just,
No. I mean, in general, I think there are some great generalizations. Don't get me wrong. Like me and that ex of 10 years who was a Gemini man, I love him. I do love him. He is my family. We will always be wonderful, wonderful. That's a best friend to me.
Mhm.
But I have recognized a specific type because I made friends with another person who was born on the exact same day as
Oh.
my ex, and we've been getting really close. It's a newer friend, and I'm
Right.
like, no wonder I like you so much and so fast, because like, my ex is like still such a good friend to me, like even to the point where not too long ago
Mhm.
that new friend was like, asked me to open his phone or whatever. I was like, oh, what's your passcode? And he goes, it's 0711. And I was like, no. You did not just tell me, not only are you born on the same day as this ex, but your phone passcode is the same as his, which is my birthday. So I was like, yes, okay, I love you to death. We're going to be great friends. However, I don't know if I can go back to, I get, they're dateable. I will say, like, in general, I don't lament Pisces men are undateable, that kind of stuff, because there's so many variables that y'all touched on it when it
Yeah.
comes to charts, those kinds of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But those individual experiences and the trauma around that type does set a certain tone.
Well, you know what? My Venus is in Pisces. So it made a lot of sense of like, for me, I'm learning about like that. I think for the last 5 years, I've like chased men. And it's because it's like, I want a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend. And then I was like, then I realized turning 30 last year, the most important relationship I have is with myself.
Yeah.
And how I come off to others. You were talking
Totally.
about earlier how like you just have to show up. I honestly, you just have to show up for yourself.
Yeah.
And how you get past that trauma is just like taking a deep breath and actually realizing, am I ready to bring somebody into my life romantically, possibly?
Right.
Who knows? And am I willing? Have I really learned my lesson? And let me tell you, like, somebody I'm talking to is actually a Cancer.
Oh,
And I was
you're
like,
so lucky. Good for you.
for the first time, the universe has brought me someone that is not a Pisces. Because the Pisces, they'll just pour all this on you, and then they'll start taking it. They just want to take it away.
Yeah.
So but I've probably, I think in the last 5 years I've probably accepted too much mental abuse without seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
with personal
Tolerated,
tolerated it without even like realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I not naming names,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I realize it now where it's like, oh, I'm seeing a lot of narcissistic behaviors,
Yeah.
and you're trying to control what I think, and you're not respecting me as an
Uh-huh.
individual. And whether it is a romantic or it is a personal relationship,
Sure.
it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to like give me blood or anything,
Yeah.
but what I'm asking is like, like if I help you out, you help me out. Like if I call you and
Mm-hmm.
you need to be heard out, I got you, no
Yeah.
problem. But it's not like, oh, I did this huge thing for you and
Yeah.
I did all this for you. I've heard that talk so many. That was my relationship too, and the universe kept showing it to me. Was like, Ash, are you going to allow this person to tell
Yeah.
you all the things that they've done for you? But in reality, when someone says that, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
give me back what I gave you.
Right,
Like,
right. It
why?
wasn't, yeah. Like it's not a gift of love and friendship. It's a contract. And to me, I've caught patterns in that way where it's like in myself where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I've done this and this. Why are they not doing this for me? And again, it became this internal pattern where I was like, just because I gave this much doesn't mean they're obligated to give that back. So it's up to me to know how much to put out and those kinds of things and read behavior on someone as far as like what I'm getting back. And it doesn't have to be an open conversation. You don't not every time do you have to be like, "Oh, well you didn't do this, you didn't do this." Just take their actions for who they are. Like and nobody said they're bad, but at the end of the day, you do learn that oh, this person isn't going to be as close as of a friend because I call and check on them or I do this or we do that. And instead of being upset that they don't do it back, just know that they probably don't have the capacity for it.
I love that word.
And and it might not be because of you, because they don't care about you, because they don't want to have the capacity. They might be dealing with their own trauma.
Yeah.
They might have their own things, and it's someone else's presence can be overwhelming to them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I've learned. I think all my friends have learned that I'm a hard lover,
mm,
and so when I hit you up or I text you or I call you or I want
mm,
you to hang out or whatever, like, and I've noticed that with like boys. We're not gonna men.
boys.
Boys, like I can come off like really strong. It's just like because
Yeah,
the way I was raised and the relationship that my mom has with me and my
yeah.
dad has with me, like they're just hard lovers. They both
Mm-hmm.
my parents text me every day. Well, it's just my mom and I talk all the time, as you've tuned into episode 3 about. But my dad texts me
She's so
once a
cute. That was such a cute episode.
she was up for the task, and I was really
Yeah,
proud of
she's
it.
cute.
My mom, she's like, "What are you doing today?" Like the best thing I ever did was get relationship wise. And my mom, when we were growing up, talking about personal relationships, like the trauma of like having like my mom calling me like, "Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?"
Mm,
And finally, at 25, I said, "Here is my location. I have nothing to hide." But it also stems from like for her, it stems from like her past and growing up and
mm-hmm.
having parents that really, not that my grandparents weren't there for her, but not as in her
And
life as she is in
sure,
mine.
sure.
And so she's scared that things will happen to me. She was exposed to drugs and all the partying and everything. And so,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the line of work that we're in,
Yeah,
like she's always like, be safe,
yeah.
all the things. But I think both of us can agree, like yeah, I will have my fun for sure, but I
Mm-hmm.
still like to remain in control and professional because we're in nightlife. I don't want to be known as a person like, oh, that's Ash. They
Yeah,
stumble out of every damn party.
yeah.
I mean, we do have our moments, but
Yeah, I mean, my mom is. I kind of have a similar. It's this trauma within our relationship,
mm.
and we can talk about that because it really like. I just recently shared my location with her as well, so because it's always been, well, send me the address of where you're at. Give me the address of where you're at,
Right.
and it was from that same place where she just couldn't. She would just would be beside herself if anything happened to me or anything happened to me or one of my siblings. Um, but there was a time where we went from being that sort of like, I was her everything, we were her, like that, sort of situation that when I came out, it created trauma between us. I
Mm-hmm.
felt a very traumatic, like, feeling towards her because she didn't take it well. I was born and raised in Texas, so there was a lot of devout Baptist Christian energy in there.
Catholic.
Yes, y'all. We all know. So it was something that was, church was traumatic for me, and the whole process of coming out to her was due to trauma within a relationship with my first boyfriend.
Okay.
So like so much of like how my young life and growth became was through traumatic experiences. And that was a place that I was like, this is always safe. I know that, she's going to take care of me. And it changed. And it wasn't like that. And so it was very difficult where I went from having this person that I could count on to this someone who said that because of love, she was concerned and talked to me a certain way about being gay and coming out, that it was this like she was afraid I would get a disease and all of these things, and it came from a place of ignorance, but to her it was love, and to me it was she was deepening this trauma that had already created in myself that had kept me from coming out. I came out at 16.
Okay.
And again, it was by force.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where I was like, like I have told myself all of these things inside in my head, and now this person who I love and care about is telling me that's why she's upset and all of these things. So it did take a long time for us to get back to where we are today. And I think there is always an opportunity to get there, because even before that coming out situation, we had our own trauma with her being a single mother at 16.
Okay.
So that was layered in there as well, and it's just like this is supposed to be like we grew up together. So like we're more in a age range of like most people have like siblings of this range. So we're very close, and so that was really challenging. But I think getting through that trauma it was the shutdown thing, because I have abandonment issues. Okay. So it was something that like was very difficult for me to feel unloved. But even then, it triggered something in me that almost made me dig my heels into authenticity.
Good.
Because there was a point where she wound up having to go to therapy over it. And it was this behavior as if someone had died, as if I had like essentially if I died, she would be acting the same, and it's just because I came out. And I'm like, I'm here, I'm still the same person, I'm not any different, I don't understand. And she came to me at one point and said, I talked to a therapist and I would really like you to talk to him, and he said it's not set in stone either way. And right there in that moment, I don't know what came over me. I had this wave of like anger, and in a lot more vulgar words, I told her that I'm absolutely not going to do that, if that's the way he thinks, because this is who I am, and this will always be who I am, and not happening. And so really at that point, as I think when I kind of like cut her off, and I started to withhold things from her and withhold who I was. And it began this traumatic pattern of anytime I was around her, I felt like I couldn't be myself.
Yeah.
And so that trauma in that created this new dynamic within us that wasn't the same. So it took us a few years, but over time, she kind of realized like if she wanted me around like she did, she would just have to take me as is.
Yeah.
So.
I can relate probably to two people that I came out at 21. I went to Catholic grade school. I went to Christian high school, and pushing myself down and hanging out with just women. It's crazy that you tune into episode 4 of season 1. 95% of my close friends are gay men now.
Yeah.
I think it's important as a gay person to have gay men around you because they can relate to what you're talking about. But my Italian side was really, it took them a while. My mom was fine. She was like, teach me about how it is to be gay. And I think 10 years later, she's like, oh, okay. All right.
That's enough teaching. That's enough. That's enough. I'm good.
But my dad is an attorney, and so for me, I was really scared. I was dating my ex at the time probably for a couple months before I told him. And finally, I think we were having an argument about something. So one day I just showed up to his office, and and we were arguing about, I forgot what we were arguing about. We were arguing about something, and finally I was like, you know what, Dad, like there's just things I just can't tell you about
Yeah.
because like I feel like you're just gonna be super harsh about it, and like the trauma of feeling like you're not gonna be accepted.
Yeah.
But no, I was like, okay, this is my dad, and I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
And finally, I was just like, I'm gay, and I'm dating another guy.
Mhm.
And at the time,
Right.
I was very happy.
Right. At the time.
And I hope you can accept me. And then he just like he was quiet for 2 seconds, and I felt like, okay, I said my piece, and I felt like a weight is off my shoulders, so I walked
Right.
out. I've never okay. My dad is an athlete, so I've never seen him run so fast and just like grab me and just give me a big hug and go, you know what, honey,
Aw.
that's totally fine. My biggest thing is as long as you're not hurting anybody, and his thing was like, as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're not
Yeah.
doing bad things, and as long as you're a good person, I just want you to be a good person and contribute to society.
Uh-huh.
And we've gone really from there, and now having a relationship now, we can have deep conversations about. He asked me the other day, he goes, if you get married, are you keeping your last name? And I said, heck to the yeah, hello. Um yeah. And I think also like my mom's dad, like he gosh, it took him 8 years to accept me.
Oh wow.
And finally it took a very traumatic experience with my mom to finally us he called me, was like, I think we need to talk, and I was like, what do you want to talk about? And he was
Mm.
like, well, I feel like, out of my grandkids, like I feel like I talk to you the most, and everyone seems to be doing their own thing, and you seem to be um the one that's more interested in keeping family and traditions and all the other things. And I said, those are important values to me
Yeah.
and you. And just talking about it, I was like, first of all, one of your grandkids is in prison,
Whoop. So.
and the other one just, doesn't talk to you, and that's fine. The other two just doesn't talk to you, but hey, uh, I just happen to be the gay one. And he goes, well, I'll be real. It kind of scared me when your mom was showing me pictures of you in a dress and experimenting with
Yes,
makeup.
Miss Glinda. Yeah. Love her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been through my makeup. I still have makeup. I don't do that much, but I've been through my transformations and all the other things. And I said, you know what? Being gay doesn't change anything that we have, and I don't want us to. I don't want you to think to his past trauma and his relationship to the gay community and the church and
Yeah.
being Catholic and all those
Yeah.
things. He's like, I grew up in the 1940s, and so
It
that
transfers.
it does transfer. And
Mhm.
he was like, well, I was like, well, Nanu, you can't categorize gay people and put them into one bubble,
Mhm.
because I'm not like that. I did this, that, the other, and I kind of just turned it around on him. I was like, you know what? You taught me to live my life with passion, and I'm
Mhm.
doing it. I'm still finding my way.
Yeah.
Am I making what I want to be making? Absolutely not. But I know I'm on the right path to get there.
Mhm.
And I looked at one. It's one of those conversations you're just like, oh my gosh, this stern Italian man. Like, oh my god. I looked at the phone. I was like, oh my god, this is a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
And finally, he was just like, you know what, Ash, you're pretty cool.
Oh.
I think you're a pretty, put together young man. You got a good head on your shoulders. I think
Yeah.
you'll do just fine. If you ever need anything, just let me know, etc.
That's good.
And he apologized for not being there.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm sorry that I made this whole sexuality thing a thing. And
Right.
and he goes, are you happy? I said, yeah. I said,
Yeah.
I turned around on him. I was like, are you happy? He goes, yeah. I said,
Yeah.
great. I said, you had a cooking show. You traveled around the world. You have the most eclectic palate that I know.
Uh-huh.
And I just happen to be gay. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when family members who have an adversity to realize that you're really still not any different by any means, you still carry the same values, the same things, the same person that you were, that they raised you to be, all of those things that like they kind of I assume it because I've never judged anyone for being gay, obviously. They kind of realize like it isn't as important. It doesn't affect other people around, and let's say this again, being gay doesn't affect the people around you. My
Mm.
actions are my own, and I do them where I like to do them, and that doesn't change who I am
Right.
aside from just who I love. So my mom kind of came to that same place where she just I don't think we had as like specific of a conversation. It was like, okay, let's just clear the air, like let's just not do this anymore or anything like that. It just kind of became this thing where there was this slow return to engagement, and she would ask, you know, how this was going, or I would just start talking about who I was dating at a norm. And I never had girlfriends in high school. Like literally never had girlfriends in high school, never had girlfriends in junior high. Like come on girl, like that was not your first sign.
I had a
But
girlfriend in high school.
I did not. Oh, I did in like 5th grade, I think, or something like that. But it doesn't count. That's not real. So you know, and it was so funny because she wouldn't let me spend the night at girls' houses, and I was like, if you
It's
only
not-
knew, if you only knew, like just like they were my friends. I was like, I just want to hang out with my friend. I want to go spend the night with my friend.
Yeah,
But
I remember.
but
that.
yeah, she kind of got to this place where we just kind of started getting more open with it, and the conversation just started to open. And I would talk to her about this and that the way we normally would. And then she actually moved to living in the same city with me in Dallas, and our relationship was really great at that point. To the point where then we started going to the gay bars together, and she would outdrink me at the gay bar. And then there were days like I remember this one Tuesday, I just got out of the shower, I was going to bed, and she calls me, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Can you come pick me up?" And I was like, "Pick you up? Why?" She's like, "I'm at the gay bar and I can't drive." And I was like, "Wait, you're at the gay bar on a Tuesday and I'm like, my gay ass is at home?" Okay. So she's definitely grown quite comfortable, quite happy, and really accepting of it. And I think once people realize that like there's so much to like so much less import on that piece, like especially family. I feel like family is definitely the place that they're like, oh, you're still the same like kid.
Oh, my Filipino side was just like, are you hungry? Can I get
And
you something to
moving
eat? And moving on. And but there's like literally an expectation. Like my nieces, every the big Christmas Eve party we have every year, my nieces have and my nephews have expectations of me to have this extravagant outfit. And this last Christmas Eve, I was so toned down, and I was just like a t-shirt, jeans, and I was like, hey, there. My niece came up to me going, "Gunkle, where are your heels?" And I'm like, well, Gunkle has stopped wearing them. Gunkle is now 30. And
she did not call you out for being in flats.
she did call me out. But I think like I think I've pretty much like healed from like the trauma of not being accepted. Realizing what those triggers are. I go back to like my childhood and how stern my dad was, and that did scare me a lot, and it did dictate like how I approach relationships and how firm my last ex was to me, and kind of just like would scream at the top of my dad never screamed at the top of my lungs. Like he was firm, but he wasn't like blah blah blah, why are you doing this, da, 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 da. I'm like, now it's just like when I get that trigger, I'm just like, oh, you're not gonna talk to me like that. If you want to continue this conversation, let's take a deep breath and go take a walk, or let's talk about this tomorrow. I think what I'm doing to heal from it is just recognizing it when I see it and not allowing it. And even just new people I meet, I don't know if you get that same feeling. It's like within the first few minutes of talking to this person, you see another side of them. And sometimes if it's good, then you go on to a different event or whatever it is. Then you're like, oh, no, I don't want to hang out with this person.
Yeah.
I think my gut feelings, I've learned to do that because my relationship 2 years ago, it was short term, but within the first month, I was like, my gut was like, I'm sitting there in his room going, I don't want to be here. And yet I'm like,
it hits you like a ton of bricks sometimes where you're like, wow, I got deep in this and I said I wasn't going to do that again, but here we are.
And then I was like, this is my first relationship in a while. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stay in this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, it was like a few months later, I'm like, oh, well, I just liked being with you, Ash. And I was like, Then why did you ask me to be your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Because I was fine with just having a casual relationship and just being friends with benefits, whatever. But what are you doing to heal from like past traumas and the triggers and stuff like that? I mean, not that they're all actively solved.
Yeah, no. Like I said, it's not linear. So like, there's still things that like will come up. Like, okay, I know I've worked on this, and it's coming back up. But there's obviously I'm here with it now. So like, it's not as deep. I think my most recent relationship is probably like the best example.
Okay.
Because I've had a few boyfriends, and like I said in the beginning, my first boyfriend was very traumatic and wound up being the situation where I found out he was cheating on me with someone at 16. So like, granted, there was extra drama around it. I had my own personal traumas that I was dealing with at that time, with like self-harm, things like that. So there was a lot of things happening then, and I think that was really this root of how all of my relationships kind of were drawn to me. I kind of kept finding myself in these patterns of this boyfriend cheated on me and left me, or like, that one was weird. I found out who the other person was, and then that other person tried to date me.
Oh.
So we were supposed to break up with the boyfriend together, and I was like, I don't want to do it. It was crazy. That one was crazy. So like, my first relationship was wild.
I'm traumatized. I was even there.
Literally, it is the wildest thing. But every serious relationship, and when I say serious, like 9 months, we were together for a year, 2 years, all those things. No matter what, every single one, including the one that just recently ended, the person said, I cannot give you what you deserve, and that's why I cannot be with you. And it became this thing where I'm like, why do I keep finding myself with these people that cannot meet me where I'm at?
Because you allow it.
It's allowed. And they wind up being in a relationship with someone almost immediately after me. So I'm like, okay, so it's just me. And it became this internalized thing where it's like, this is me, it's my issue, and there's something wrong with me. And I realized it's because I was dating for the sake of dating to find myself. Okay. I was looking for myself in other people. And I got into this relationship 10 years ago, and this person told me 10 years ago, I don't think I'm supposed to be in a relationship. I don't know if this is what I want to do. And because I showed a very deep emotion and care for him, he was like, I can't see someone care that much about me and not try. So we got into it. And yes. So we got into it, and don't get me wrong at all. There was so many years of deep love. Like, we were so in love with each other. We had so much fun together, so many adventures. He taught me so many things. He taught me how to be in non-monogamous relationships, which, that was a rocky format, but now it's very important to me, and I talk about it a lot. Right. But that fact, that to circle back to, healing, him saying at the end of this 10-year relationship, I can't give you what you deserve. You deserve better. And that's why we're breaking up, would have sent me in the same spiral as all of these past relationships. Because every time my relationship ended, it was the end of my life. Like, it was over. I'm dying. I'm gonna die because I had been looking for myself in them. Yeah. And in our relationship, I'd realized that, like, I've been with this person long enough that they're safe and comfortable. The call's coming from inside the house. Yeah, yep. I need to sit down and figure that out. And so as time went on, I began to do the work on myself, and I really started to figure out, why do I do that? Why do I let someone do that? And why do I say that? And so there were these things that I healed through and brought into our relationship and shifted how we spoke to each other. I stood up for myself in ways, and I communicated in ways that were not the same. Right. And so I, getting to the end, thought, oh, God, he said the words. I'm about to fall apart, and granted, I did. At the end of a 10-year relationship, who's not gonna fall apart a little bit? It took me a couple weeks to really process and let that you know that feeling that
Yeah.
like your heart is like being squeezed, and you can't breathe.
Right.
So that took a little bit, but once I got past that, I was like, wait, I'm good. I'm okay.
You're good.
I'm alive. I can be happy. Like I'm there's this is sad, but I can also be excited about this and enjoy this and I also we had to live together until end of February so it ended in October, end of February.
Hmm.
So we had this time where like we had to be around each
Yeah.
other. And that could go really wrong.
I think I've noticed a difference in you since you moved into your own place.
Mm-hmm.
So touching on that,
Yeah.
for the person that's listening that possibly has gone through something similar that Nico's gone through or something similar that I have gone through, it really is important to heal from that trauma no matter what the situation is, and stepping back and recognizing it. I said in the last episode that it's okay to close yourself off in a room, and that's completely healthy. But taking it back and sitting back and having the friend group around you that's recognizing like, okay, I haven't heard. Okay, if you haven't heard from me in like 2 days,
Yeah.
then you know that something's up with Ash.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to do that because you're able to recognize it and sit back and be like, okay, I'm not going to do this in the next relationship, personal or romantic. And I think having people that recognize that, like, okay, Ash, like, you said the wrong thing. You're being a little too blunt here. I can be really blunt too many times, but that's okay. But having the right people around you that recognize, like, okay, telling you the last people, personal and romantic, I have friends who are like, Ash, why are you welcoming this back again?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to yourself? And so do you think that trauma from relationships can teach us something?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think
What is it, or what has it taught you?
relationships are one of our biggest teachers, and even in this like still back on this same thing, it taught me that the things and the growth that I set out to do in myself, I was putting in action. And I am capable of being okay on my own, and that I have grown as a person who loves and cares about them as a person and does not need to resort to these past habits of self-harm and all of these other things to deal with emotions. I have now created a toolkit that I can carry forward. And that's it's something that this relationship has truly taught. Like the end of this relationship has not taught me but shown me that like you are who you said you're going to be. You did the work, and now you're actually putting it in action, because there's so many people out there like, oh well, this is what's wrong, or you can self-diagnose that, and da 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 da, and this is what you can do to handle that, blah blah blah. But until you're in the situation doing that, you don't trust yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm able to take out of it, is that like I can trust that going into the next one, I know when and where to be, where I belong, and if that doesn't work, then I will still be that person, and I'm still gonna be who I am afterwards, because it's happened. I've gotten into like little things with people, that they've shown interest or whatever. And even then, like going into, I'm like, I'm really excited about this. This is gonna be so fun. This is so cool. You're such a great person. I in that moment caught myself and was like, you are romanticizing it, and that's okay. As a Cancer, my Leo is in, or my Venus is in Leo, so like it's a big daydream.
Explained.
Yeah, it's like when I feel it, it's like a big thing. So, but even then, I could sit there and be realistic with myself while a romantic.
Yeah.
In that I can see all these magical things, but that doesn't mean that that's gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
And if it doesn't happen,
That's
that doesn't. It's fine. You have a beautiful experience with this person. So for me, platonic and romantic relationships have a very blurry line.
They do.
And so for me, like the relationships are really, really important. Because platonic love is almost just as quality as like romantic love. Like,
Yeah, there's just not like the sexual, component to it, or the
Well-
love language. It can happen maybe in the queer world, yes. But I think like relationships have taught me more about myself and who I am and what boundaries I need to have. And the relationships that I have in my life, they respect my boundaries. And and when you give a boundary like, hey, I don't take any work text or calls, or unless it's immediate, on a Sunday, because that's my day to chill.
Yeah.
And if you don't have people that respect your boundaries or stuff like that, or hey, I didn't answer the phone, like, but if it's important, I don't answer the phone, call me a second time if you really need to talk to me. I think trauma from like my relationship now with my parents is a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
And how you talked about your mom and how I've reworked it.
Mm-hmm.
I've set a lot of boundaries with my mom,
Yeah.
hence giving her my location. And boundaries I've set with my dad, and have had now I have a better relationship, and relationships are ever going and growing back from that trauma and realizing like at the end of the day it's all about love and the way you love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and how you want to give yourself to the world. I think relationships were personal. We were talking about earlier, it goes back down to the love of yourself
Mm-hmm.
and how you want to work with that relationship, the
Yeah.
trauma that you have, and recognizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize it a lot now. I'm like, oh,
There it is.
there it is.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You're able to pick it out a lot faster, and I think that's one of the, like, relationship trauma and relationships can teach you so much. I think they're probably one of your best teachers, because as humans we're meant to be communal. We're not supposed to be individualistic. And that's the thing, is like, if you isolate, it's fine. It's good to take your me time, take your space, do your thing,
mm,
but we're really designed to live amongst each other in solidarity. And
yeah,
and I think that's what we're missing
yeah,
a lot these
yeah.
days. And I think, that's something you can learn from trauma, is how to reintegrate yourself safely,
Mm,
so you can be a positive community member and be someone who gives to the community without even really, you don't have to give anything.
yeah,
Being authentic is a way to give to the community,
right.
and being a person who centers around authentically giving good to the world around
Hmm.
you. That's what I've learned from trauma.
Yeah, and just knowing when to step back from situations that are triggering for you and realizing if it's going to be a benefit to you,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a small benefit or not.
Yeah.
Big steps don't happen all the time, so you can do little steps to heal from that trauma. And I think for those who are listening, like if you're sitting at home thinking like, am I going to get through this relationship or can I get out of it? Yes, you can.
You can.
Whether it's a friend or a business colleague
Mm-hmm.
or somebody you're interested in or the guy on the DL, I don't know.
Yes.
But I think anybody can do this. Well, I think that's a great way to end our conversation.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
See, I told you there'd be a lot of crying on this episode. I think it's beautiful to have my friends on my podcast. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, I want to end as I always do. If I can add one more thing, if anyone hasn't told you today, I love you, I believe in you, and I believe you can do anything you set your beautiful mind to. And I'm glad that we can both be here for you
Yeah.
and create this space for you. The space is not just for me, it is for you to be and to heal while we're having one honest conversation time. So, thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share as we expand this safe space together. See you next time. Thank you.